Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Matthew, and we are returning to the tag team tournament. We are working on Group C, the Galoobs, and because we only have 12 tag teams we're working on, I'm only going to do 2 videos. So I'm going to break it down to 6 tag teams per video, so 3 matchups per video. I'm not expecting either video to go more than about 20 minutes or so, and I'm not going to talk too long in the beginning of the video. Call out the names, pause the video, pull the figures, and we'll dive right in per usual. So, let's get the first group knocked out here. First group is going to consist of the Barry and Sid Vicious US version, squaring off against the US version of Rick and Arn Anderson. So, both the 4 horsemen are doing battle. And then the US Steiner brothers are squaring off against the Freebirds. And then UK dudes with attitude, Luger and Sting, are going to square off against the US version of Sting versus Luger. Alright, so we're going to pause. I'm going to pull those names, or pull those figures, and we will be back in a split second. Alright, so we have returned with the first group of figures, and they are going to pit both sets of 4 horsemen against each other. And it's very convenient to see all 4 horsemen square off against each other in the first matchup. So I kind of thought it was really nice that that you have both sets, both copies of not only Galoob versions, but also the LJN Galoob 2-ups in this tournament. So I said there was a possibility that not only would you potentially see the 2-ups, but you could potentially see the original Galoob figures themselves. They might make the finals. Could you imagine seeing the Galoob 2-ups and the originals as the last 2 standing? That'd be really sweet. So, I never had Arn Anderson as a kid. Really didn't know anything about Arn Anderson until a couple years ago. Not until I really got into my wrestling collecting. And Ric Flair, yes, this was a very common figure. Yes, we had this, and yes, it was an enjoyable figure. Now, at a time when action figures were very spare, yeah, this was an enjoyable one, but I mean, was it really? I mean, I had a Scott Steiner figure, which I said was a good figure, but it really wasn't. Not when you had, now when you had a comparison to like a Ron Simmons, yeah, of course, anything in comparison to a Ron Simmons was an enjoyable figure. In reality, when you look at some of the other figures you really could compare it to, it's a mediocre figure at best. You know, like I said, when I were to grade this figure, I'd give it about a 4.5 at best, maybe a 5 at best, you know, in the rating scheme. A lot of figures from the Galoob line, they have this issue. Whether you're looking at Series 1 or any of the Series 2 UK exclusive figures, where the figures are hunched over, legs spread apart, arms spread apart with the arms down low, doesn't give you that nice over the head, you know, arm body slam posing. Can't really throw a good body or punch or clothesline, which I despise. Is it a playable figure? Absolutely. Is it the best? Not really. Ric Flair, is he a legend? No doubt. But unlike characters like I talk about $1 Million Man, Andre the Giant, even when the man turned, he was still an incredible bad guy, still a huge fan favorite. Uh, I don't know. There's just certain bad guys like you really gravitated towards, and Yokozuna is a bad guy. You may have hated him as a bad guy, but he was a freaking awesome bad guy. Just you love the character, and there are just certain bad guys that you just could not stand. I could never stand Ric Flair. He was just one of those guys that I absolutely despised. As an adult, I respect the heck out of what that man has accomplished throughout his career, but do I covet him really today any more than I did as a kid? I don't know that I can honestly say that. Does Arn Anderson add any more to this tag team that Ric Flair doesn't already bring to the tandem? I just don't know enough about Arn Anderson in order to say yes. Late '80s Brainbusters, tandem with who did he tag with over there? Tully Blanchard. I mean, there's just not enough with this tandem here. I run into the same issue with Barry Windham. I didn't have this figure as a kid. I didn't even know about this character until a couple, within like the last year and a half. I keep saying a couple years ago, but late, last quarter of 2021 is really when I got into, collecting. And I'm ashamed because this is a fantastic figure. Like I said, this is possibly one of the greatest action figures of all time. And to go along with the Sid Vicious, this figure has meant so much to me for pretty much my entire life. And these two figures in tandem are an absolute godsend. They work so perfectly together. I know so much about Sid Vicious, or Sid Justice, whatever you want to call him. Just a great, fun character. And I'm sorry, but Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, they got to be out. I know guys that are watching this are like, nah, man, you can't kick Ric Flair out. I mean, you've gotten rid of him in LJN. You can't get rid of him in the Galoob. I have to. I don't have history with Arn Anderson, and I'm just not a fan of Ric Flair. And the figures themselves just aren't enough for me to keep them in. And again, you're talking about two potentially of the greatest figures ever created right here. So, and I'm talking about any line, period. And here's the funniest thing about this. I am not a fan of Galoob. I've said it 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. I don't think Galoob has come out with good figures. I think Galoob has made some of the worst action figures of all time. But Galoob, in my opinion, produced the greatest action figure ever made. And with this figure to add on to that list, quite possibly two of the greatest figures. When I finally became aware of this figure, absolutely, possibly two of the best. So this tag team is incredible. Putting these two together are front runners. So gotta pause for a second. Sorry, I had to go blow my nose again. I swear to God, there's no nasal decongestant, so worth the darn. Alright, where was I? I think I was talking about these guys. So earlier, I was, when I started the LJN competition, I put two figures together. I was talking about the wrestling writer Bret Hart figure that he had done, and I talked about the that special Jim Neidhart figure. I forgot which seller I bought that one from, but those two particular figures I put together because every time I had done my favorite LJN tournament, I always figured that those two figures would could potentially have been like my last two figures standing. They had the potential to be at right there at the end, and they always square off in like round two, round three. I think like round three. So, and Bret Hart wipes out Jim Neidhart, and even though I always figure like Jim Neidhart's a better figure, but the customization of the Bret Hart's was better. So that figure always goes a lot farther, and so I felt like putting those two figures together, I finally created the perfect set, the perfect duel, where I basically created an undefeatable tag team. But I don't know. I don't think so. Because these two together as Galoob, plus I got these two together as LJN, maybe they're not quite as unbeatable as I thought. I mean, like I said, any one of these tag teams could potentially be defeated in round two. It's possible. But, I mean, there are some high flyers in this tournament. These guys as Galoob, these guys as LJN. That set from LJN. The Bruce Beefcake and Hulk Hogan Mailway, the Mega Maniacs. I think that set right there. I mean, that's like what? That's like 4 sets right there. Plus these guys as UK as well. I mean, that's 3 versions of these guys, but I mean that's still 5 sets of figures that have a strong potential to win this whole tournament. I mean, there's still so many other sets. The Honky Tonk Man and Greg Valentine, Rhythm and Blues. This tournament's wide open, and we haven't even touched the Remcos yet, and this is still only the first matchup. I'm telling you, I'm super excited about where this tournament's going. This is so much fun because, I mean, I have favorites obviously that I feel like have a legitimate chance, but you just never know, not until you actually hold the figures up and make your choice. But this is I'm really eager to find out, man. This is so awesome. All right, so this was Sid. These guys are in, and Rick and Arn are out. Next matchup. We said Steiner's U.S. version versus the Freebirds. All right. So, all right, Steiner Brothers versus the Freebirds. Now, a tag team I actually had as a kid, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was probably the only tag team I had from Galoob. And, yeah, I mean, Galoob, 6 or 7 figures from Galoob as a kid. This had to be the only tag team. And, I don't remember if we got these like as a 2-pack or single pack. I don't remember. Come to think of it, realistically, it probably would have been a 2-pack because I don't remember, honestly, ever, what the packages they came in, what they ever looked like. But I would have felt like it would have been more obvious if my mom had bought like a 2-pack, because why would she buy these on an individual pack, Because my mom, she didn't really buy us, wrestling figures that often. And the only time I ever saw Galoob figures was like at like a dollar store or something. The only time I ever saw Hasbro was Toys R Us. So I never really valued Galoob as being like these high dollar figures anyways. And that's why, like, when I go on eBay nowadays and I see these figures selling on card for like $500, $300, $150, etc., I can't spend Hasbro money on carded Galoob figures when they're essentially dollar store type figures. Uh, yeah. So, like the Ric Flair figure, pretty much identical figures with a leg spread, arms apart and down. So, take your pick. I guess I kind of like Rick Steiner a little bit better than Flair, but they're basically the same figure for the most part. And I always really enjoyed using this figure. Again, one of the elite, Galoob figures overall for play. Great looking figure. Awesome for play as a kid. I made use out of Scott Steiner because, he was there, but, not an enjoyable figure at all. I really didn't enjoy tag team matches as a kid or one-on-one play. I always enjoyed having Royal Rumble matches. Even by today's standards, if I wanted to sit down and have a match right now, it would be a Royal Rumble. I wouldn't want to sit there and like rust. Like if I'm gonna sit there and like, goof off for like a few seconds, yeah, that's something. But like an actual play match, Rumble all the time because I couldn't stand doing anything else. Decent figure for Rick Steiner. Scott Steiner is well below average, 2 out of 5, maybe a 3 out of 5. And then you go against the Freebirds. Michael Hayes, you would think because his pose has him standing straight up, he'd be a little bit better. Arms straight out, so he's got a good clothesline. But that's really all he has working for him. Doesn't really have a great body slam, but at least he does have that over-the-head body slam pose. So that does work for him. I like the little eyeshadow on the figure, so, good look. I love the display of the Freebird pants design. With Jimmy Garvin, what do I talk about? All these figures, they all have the same darn look. Bent at the waist, legs spread apart, arms spread apart. The crouched over, arms down low. Why? Dustin Rhodes, Jimmy Garvin, Rick Steiner's, Ric Flair. I don't know. I mean, these aren't the only ones. There's so many figures that are like this. But it just drives me nuts. I mean, the Giant Gonzalez is another. He's kind of like slouched over a little bit, but his hands are up higher though. But it's crazy how many figures are like this. It's just nuts. Still a very playable figure nonetheless. You can still do body slams and power slams and all that. Throw yellow punches and clotheslines. Very playable figure. Enjoyable. Same great look that you would find on Michael Hayes. The Freebirds, I think it's a pretty easy choice. I mean, didn't even know about these characters or these figures until I started collecting, a couple years ago. The Steiners I had as a kid, didn't even know about these until within the last, year and a half or so. But these are just so much better figures. Hands down, Freebirds all the way. No doubt. Do they make it into round 3? I don't know. But at least making it into round 2 is enough for now. Awesome figures. Love them. And they do defeat the Steiner brothers. I mean, the Steiner brothers, Hasbro has already advanced. Steiner brothers, I believe the LJNs have already advanced. So the Galoob, they really didn't have to, but and they still have their UK versions, so it's not like they're out of it completely. Alright, and the last matchup for this video is going to feature the Sting UK version, or Sting and Luger UK version, versus Sting and Luger US version. So I'm classifying this the dudes with attitude. So the Sting UK exclusive. Now, I am changing up the US version. You remember with the, with the LJNs, because the LJN, I had this version. I had the Series 2 Lex Luger instead of the, blue Series 1 Lex Luger. But in Series 1, I had the blue pants Sting. Or the Sting, I had the blue pants Sting. Well, with this Sting, I'm going to go with the salmon pants Sting as my Galoob. Because in Series 1, Galoob had two Stings. They had the blue pants and they had the orange, what they call salmon pants. So I decided to use the salmon. That way it gives it a different, fresh take version. Now, they are all the exact same figures. So at the end of the day, it basically boils down to what color scheme do you like more. I had this Lex Luger as a kid, the blue. I used it. I friggin' hated it. One of the worst action figures ever created. In fact, this Lex Luger, along with Ron Simmons. So Galoob has, with Ron Simmons and this Lex Luger, Galoob easily has two of the worst action figures ever created. And, well, the US version, even though I really like the salmon pants, orange pants, whatever you want to call it, they're not going to win. There's a reason why I selected the green and yellow dual-colored Series 2 version Lex Luger. I just like that color better. And, of course, the black pants from the UK exclusive. I just like the color better. I just think it pops a lot better with this thing. The face paint and everything. Even though a lot of people might like the Surfer Sting version better, but I'm going with the UK all the way. I mean, pretty easy decision on this one. I mean, not too much I could say. So I'm trying to see what time are we looking at on here. 22 minutes. All right, not bad. So that is going to close out this video. I am going to stay down. I'm going to make a fourth video. And I'm going to make the second and last video for the Galoob tournament, or Group C. And that way I'll have 4 videos in queue. And I'll post the first video today. Today is, what is today's date? It is, was that the 15th? Wow. Today's the 15th already. Monday, the 15th. That don't seem right. Okay, whatever. Didn't feel that, like it was that late already. That's crazy. Okay. Alright, so I'll post the first video today, and that's going to be the variant video, which by the time you watch this video, it's not going to make any, it already makes sense because you would have already seen it, but, and then I'll probably post the other videos. I'm going to probably post, I'm going to make the variant video, I'm going to post this video, I'm going to post the Winston Toys video, I'm going to post the second Galoob video, and then I'm going to post the other video I just made before this one, which was the Ram Treasures LJN Series 6 video. And once you see them all, it'll make sense what I'm talking about. So I'm going to post them out of order from how I made them. That'll be fine. Alright, thank you for watching, everybody, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.